What is up, guys? Welcome into a brand new video. Now today we are going to be looking at the 2023 Ashes, England versus Australia, the biggest series in cricket by far. We're going to have a look at a couple of predictions, a couple of betting odds, a couple of things that we think might happen. I mean, I think England's going to win 5-0 just from the start. No, I'll be a little bit more realistic. I'll try and take a bit of bias out of it. Australia are playing quite well at the moment. They just obviously won the World Test Championship, so we can't give them too much stick. But we'll get straight into it. And to start off with, we are going to have a look at the series winner. Now, current favourites for this is going to be Australia. They are coming in at 10-11. England 6-4, and the draw is 11-2. I think 2-2 is actually not a bad score, and it could be that. That's the idea. I mean, it's not going to be 1-1. If you're going to go draw, it's probably going to be 2-2. It's not going to be definitely not going to be 0-0. I mean, baseball don't do draws. I like the England as a winner. I think that's relatively good value there. Just for the simple fact of, I think if you look back at 2019, I think the Australia team has got about 25% better. From what that team was that came over in 2019. I think this England team is probably 75 to 100% better than they were in 2019. So for that reason, I think England will edge the series. Overall, I mean, Australia are a really good side, and this is really kind of moment defining for this Australia side. There's a lot of players in there that aren't going to come back to England again for another Ashes series. You can't imagine you'll see the likes of Stark, Boland, who else? Warner, Khawaja, Smith. Probably this is all going to be their last Ashes series in England. So they're going to want something to prove. It's a bit of a coin flip, I think, if you want to take series winner. I just think it's very hard to win Test series away. Australia haven't won in England since 2001. That probably required the greatest cricketing side that we've ever seen by that kind of 90s, early 2000s Australia team. But I like England here, or even the draw of 11-2. That's probably not a bad bet. Now, series score, I picked out a couple of options of if Australia win, if England win, what happens. So, Australia 3-1, I think Australia 3-1 at 7-1 probably isn't a bad shout. Maybe going in 2-1 into the Oval Test, and then they take 3-1 to Stokes, trying with a funny declaration to try and win it. Australia end up winning 3-1, or just win the first 3 games in a row and then just kind of give up after that. England 3-2. I think if it's 2-2 going into the Oval, I could see England coming out on top in that one. That kind of carefree attitude that they had, high pressure situations. I think that is actually going to look more favourably on England than Australia. And then just for a bit of a laugh, I mean, just to wind up some Australians, I've been posting it on every single TikTok video. There has been England 5-0 at 25-1 if you do fancy it. I might stick a cheeky tenner. I think if you look on different sites, I think you can even get it for 40-1. So I might have a little bit of a shot round and we'll go England 5-0. Highest run scorer, there's quite a few names in here. I mean, Smith or Root. I think depending on who you think are going to win. If you think Australia are going to win, I think Smith's a good bet. If you think England's going to win, Root's probably not a bad bet. Root doesn't have the best of records against Australia, but still plays quite well. I mean, if you wanted to go for the individual teams, you could go there as well. So Smith or Root, both 11-4 to be highest run scorer for the series. I like Travis Head at 10-1, very good form. Hasn't quite proved himself in England. I know he had that absolutely fantastic 165, was it, in the World Test Championship. So if you wanted to go down that route, then fine. Travis Head is a perfectly good bet. I also think Johnny Bairstow, coming off the summer he had last summer, I mean, he averaged like 75. He scored like 5 centuries in a row at 16-1. I know he's got the gloves. I know he's not batting at 5, he's batting at 7. But I think Bairstow at 16-1 is really, really good value. Most wickets. I think this is going to come down to, I think this is kind of nailed on. Someone else could come into it, but I think Pat Cummins at 9-2. He's probably the only fast bowler out of both of the sides that will play every single game. Stokes is probably going to play, but you don't know how many overs you're going to get out of him with that knee injury. Lyon probably plays every game, but I do think England are going to go after Lyon. So 9-2, probably a little bit too short. If it would have been kind of around that kind of 8-1, 9-1, I would have liked that, but not at 9-2. But I think he's probably going to be up there in the end. Then Moeen Ali at 12-1, probably being England's spinner. Also with 5 left-handers in the top 7 for Australia. I think Moeen Ali's probably a good bet. He'll probably take some wickets, and he's probably going to play every game, unless he has a couple of shockers for the first couple of tests. Then we might drop him. But if he starts off well, Moeen Ali at 12-1 definitely is worth a look at that point. Players like Anderson, Broad, Robinson, Hazelwood, Boland, Stark. I think they'll probably play 3, maybe maximum of 4 tests. So unless they have an amazing 3 or 4 tests, I don't think they're going to kind of take more wickets than someone that's going to play all 5. Player of the series, again, I mean, this comes down to who do you think is going to win. Root or Smith is always going to be a good shout if you think England are going to win. Smith was obviously player of the series in 2019. Was he player of the series in 2019? I can't even remember now. He must have been. It must have been Smith. I can't imagine it would have been Stokes, even though that was the best test innings that anyone has ever seen in their lives. So yeah, Smith or Root. I like Cameron Green at 16-1, just for the simple fact of he could have an absolutely amazing series, and this could be career defining for him. I don't personally think it's going to happen. But if you're kind of outside looking in who could be player of the series, who's got a bit of value there, Cameron Green at 16-1 does a bit with a ball, does a bit with a bat, couple of fifers, couple of centuries, and you could an Australia win. You could definitely see Cameron Green winning it. Johnny Bairstow at 16-1. Again, this was very similar to why I had him in my top run scorers, just for the simple fact of he had such a good summer. If he has the same form as he did last summer, you'd imagine he'd be the highest run scorer, which would mean England would probably win. And if he scored 4 centuries in a couple of really good run chases, then it's got to be Johnny Bairstow. And then Ben Stokes was 14-1. I know he's going to struggle to bowl and hasn't been in the best form of the bat, but he is going to be captain. He is England's captain and does do a lot for this side. I mean, that Bazball mentality doesn't really do much without Stokes. So I like Stokes, player of the series, 14-1. Guys, that is going to be it for today's video. I very much hope you enjoyed it. Just a short little one, having a look through at some of the odds. I think this is actually going to be one of the most amazing Ashes series we have ever seen. I mean, it smells like 2005. Which for me, I mean, I think it was 81 is also talked about, but I mean, for me, 2005 was the pinnacle. It was the thing that got me into cricket in the first place. And a really confident Australia side going into a team that's, I wouldn't say unproven. They've won 11 out of 13. I don't think that's unproven, but there are definite doubts to see if this new way of playing Test cricket can go against one of the best bowling attacks in the world. I think it can. I'm going to take England to win overall. I think England to win, not comfortably. I think all the games are going to be tight, but England 3-1 is going to be my prediction. But I do think the Aussies will put up more of a fight than probably what we do in Australia. Although I have to admit, I think if we were to go and play a series in Australia in the winter, I think that's a lot closer than it has been in the past. I think it's not going to be the 4-5-0 drubbing that we usually get down under. I mean, I don't know if we'd win. I think it's close. I think it's 3-2 either way down under. But I think in our conditions, in England, with the crowd behind us as well, this is probably going to be the kind of loudest crowd that we've had since 2019. I don't think there's much competition around the world for Test match fans in England. So yeah, for me, it's going to be an England win. But guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Please remember to leave a like. Please remember to subscribe. And I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.